Now we have business from the City Council, and it'll be our City Council report, starting with Councilmember Preet Didball.
I believe John Dukes attended the transit meeting for me on my behalf, so I'll let him report on that one.
Could I interrupt you just real quickly? Jackie, don't leave. I have something for you, so you have to go sit down.
Sorry, Nicole. Get her while she's still here. There is no bedtime for you, Jackie. We also had the animal shelter meeting, and that we went over the budget for this coming year. So that was for note and file, and we'll look at it, I believe, June 27th, Brad, I think is our next meeting on there. And then we also had a LAFCO meeting, and that again was covering budget. It's budget season right now, so that's what we're all talking about. We also had elections for the upcoming year for chair as well as vice chair, so I will be the new vice chair for our LAFCO committee. So, and I think that was it, and we had lots of prom activity going on this last week, so lots of it. So I think that was it as far as the meetings.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Councilmember Dukes.
Sorry about that. Just a couple items. Had the Sutter Buttes Flood Control Agency finance meeting on Monday, and we recommended approval or to send the new 3-year budget to the board, which will be next Wednesday's meeting, where they'll be looking at that 3-year budget. Attended the spring meeting for the California mosquito vector board, and that's where, Jackie, that's where you come in. They had a discussion regarding working with the recycle agencies regards to tires to eliminate breeding sources for mosquitoes, and so I'll be in touch with you to see if we can work together on a program to help eliminate old tires in our community. I know you have a program, but maybe working together to reduce it even more so that we can eliminate breeding sites for mosquitoes. And I believe that is all I have at this point.
Councilmember Gill.
Thank you. We did have an ad hoc committee meeting for the Sutter Buttes Flood Control Agency to go over those contracts that are coming to finance, that are going to the board meeting. So we did go detail by quite a bit of those, so that was kind of nice to dissect those and send them to finance, and then they come to the board. The last 5 miles of the Laurel Avenue is in design work. So there's a very, very good opportunity, which we've been working on for a while, that we should have funding for that this year as well. So it could be in one and done, so may be able to do that. It was interesting. I saw Axel Karlshoe, and he's the main person for Nordic Industries doing all that work, and he was very familiar with it, so I think he's getting ready to bid that project. And he's been very, very gracious because he's got the large equipment, and he's the one that did the Marysville side, and yet he lives in this community, and he knows, since he's got all the tractors and the movers and stuff, that, you know, he's one of those people that I honestly feel is very honest, that hasn't bid this project up so high that he's the only contract that we got. So he's been very, very fair. And I was joking with him. I said, make sure it comes under budget and it's done in time. And he said, have I ever let you guys down? And the answer was no. So, you know, I can just see him bidding that project as well. So things are moving along. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. And on to Vice Mayor Cleveland.
Yes, I had one meeting this week. Last 2 weeks, it's been very quiet for me. Sometimes it's not, but transit meeting, the authority, biggest issue, budgets. And then also discussing how we're going to get some funding for the buses that are going to be necessary to be replaced. A little bit of discussion on that. Thought I had a source. Legislator, a friend of mine, had something that he's moving forward and didn't want to make any adjustments, so we lost that. But I did also go, this is a little off of the normal, but Sea Cadets did their presentation this last Saturday. It was awesome seeing them. They're the same thing basically as our Civil Air Patrol. but hasn't to do with the sea. And they're actually in the running for being one of the top Sea Cadets groups in their division, which is Northern California and Northern Nevada. And the reason I'm saying this is because they actually came here and did a presentation in the past before us and saying we're here in the community, we're going to be active, use us for what you want. And a lot of these youth are gung-ho on doing things and volunteering in the community. So it's fantastic. They're going to be taught some leadership.
Could I just add one point to that?
No.
I'll make it quick here, but it was commissioned as the Matthew Axelson Squadron, which is named in honor of a Navy SEAL who gave his life in Afghanistan, and the family is located here in the community. So I just wanted to make that a point also.
And thank you for pointing that out. I attended SACOG, the Board of Directors meeting in Sacramento last week, and it was actually an all-day affair for me. A lot of fun to talk about funding, road funding, delays in funding, and how we can move projects forward. But in a second meeting in which I chair down there, and that's the Innovative Task Force, we're talking about a more integrated process in which staff at the regional level is able to communicate all the way up through and to include staff levels down at SACOG to be able to move projects together or bring them to the forefront with less actual elected involvement. The model that we're looking at is a Kansas City model, and we're really encouraged by how well that group is able to efficiently bring programs and projects to the forefront that are meaningful and meet the needs of the community. So, or communities, given the Kansas City area. That's like they oversee 126 or 121 communities, much larger than what the SACOG region does. We only have 29 directors and Caltrans on board. So we do have a large geographical outreach, but just a way to better communicate and deliver service back to the community as a participant down at SACOG. When I was back in Washington, D.C., and we actually had a Wednesday morning meeting with John Garamendi, our congressman, one of the topics that we reached into was homelessness and veteran homelessness. As we in this community try to identify what we are doing for the homeless issue, how we are going to fund projects as we move forward as a city, as a council, it was very encouraging to have the congressman offer that potentially we could put together a regional effort to bring all of the jurisdictions together and to have a public information workshop in which we look for solutions, not just a bunch of cry wolf activity, and look for what the meaningful components are. We really identified, and there are initiatives out of the White House for veteran housing. There is through HUD, this is where the focus is really at, and we look at that, or I personally look at that as one of the most meaningful housing components that we could become involved in, and that's looking to our homeless veterans. They've paid, they've provided service to our country, and certainly we can look and try to help support them once they're back in our area. As a result of that meeting with the congressman, he apparently slipped my phone number to one of the president's advisors, direct advisors on homelessness, and I ended up in about an hour-long conference call with the White House last week. And in that, our discussions led to what we can do. And it's hard for a 25-year-old that works at the White House that advises the president on large issues to get a grasp of what Yuba City and Marysville, Sutter County and Yuba County look like, and what the differences in the political front dealing with homelessness, and how many different organizations try to interface or overlap in delivery of service. And with a great deal of respect that I had for their time to spend with me, the one thing that I'm asking for and asking HUD to help us with, and that is a funding component to be able to identify truly what our veteran needs are in the area, and we will be working forward with that plan. Yesterday, I met momentarily with the congressman as he was here in town to be able to discuss it. We are going to continue to move forward with plans to do a regional workshop on the issue, but also to try to identify what we can do, what tools we can come up with to help local government identify the programs that will best serve at least some sectors of our homeless population. So I'm encouraged with that. I think that we can move this forward with a great deal of community help. And again, with the federal government willing to put some funds forward, I think they get the idea now that their money would be best spent putting together a model program here, and then build that throughout. Given the position of the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, he's essentially a lame duck. The White House is fairly lame in their position, but they are still working towards a solution for this problem. That's encouraging to me, that they still want to work forward as they're in their last year of offices and can move those programs forward. So we need to move fairly rapidly on those. And that's all I had for the input and meetings that I attended. Tonight we're going to adjourn this meeting in memory of a gentleman whose son is a Yuba City fire inspector, but Mr. Jim Matthews passed away, the father of our fire inspector. So we'll close the meeting. The father of